From what we can tell right now, we are about to enter a minerals demand super cycle. And what does that mean? Well, it means, of course, lots and lots of mining and mineral stocks are going to go through the roof. But for me, there is one that really stands out more than the others. And if you follow my channel, you will know that I am very, very bullish on lithium. And in my opinion, over the next few years, what we're going to see is the lithium market, and in particular, lithium stocks, are likely to generate many, many millionaires. Today, we're going to be talking about lithium demand and why it is, in my opinion, one of the biggest markets for investors in 2023 and beyond. How's it going, guys? Ryan here, and welcome back to another investing video. For those of you who don't know me or may be new to the channel, I'm a stock market investor, and the one area I really like to focus in on is mining stocks. That's sort of my bread and butter when it comes to investing. But there is one which, as I'm sure you can work out, I like a lot more than all the others when it comes to mining stocks, and that is lithium stocks. And the reason behind this is because I genuinely believe that this is going to be one of the biggest markets moving into 2023 and beyond. We've already seen some fantastic examples in the form of companies such as Pilbara Minerals, which have changed people's lives from an investment perspective, because they are able to produce such a hot commodity which is in very, very high demand, but of course, as we know, in short supply. And this demand is certainly not going anywhere at this point in time, and that's why I want to make all of you guys aware of why lithium is likely to be one of those stocks, or one of those areas where you can invest in stocks which will go off in 2023, and it needs to be on your radar. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Let's kick things off by taking a look at the price history of lithium. And for those of you who have followed the market, you would know that the price of lithium carbonate has gone absolutely through the roof over the past year or two. And this is purely due to the fact that there is simply not enough supply to meet the demand. And as a result, many people, many companies are buying lithium carbonate on the spot market at some pretty extraordinary prices. If we take a look at the current price for lithium, as you can see on this chart, it is roughly sitting at about 500,000 yen, which is the equivalent of about 74 or 75,000 US dollars per ton. Now, at its peak, we were looking at more like $88,000 per ton US. Massive amounts of money. And obviously, when you take a look at where we were 2 years ago versus where we are now, we are sitting in a pretty incredible position. And this was a position where we started to see those mines actually forming and coming together. Pre-feasibility studies, definitive feasibility studies were being created back 2 years ago, when the price of lithium was obviously significantly lower. Now, the costings of the stocks which did this have obviously turned significantly more profitable as a result of the current market situation. But in my personal opinion, I do not think that this demand is actually going to stop. What we are seeing is a huge rise in the need for lithium, and it all comes down to the renewable revolution. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm talking about clean energy, electric vehicles, lithium-ion batteries, that sort of thing. These are materials which require lithium. And lithium as a resource is relatively scarce from a supply perspective at this point in time, although not a scarce resource in the terms of there's none of it in the world, there's plenty of it, but there's simply just not enough suppliers to meet the demands of the market at the moment. And that gap is only growing. What we are seeing is a massive divide between the supply and demand for lithium, which is obviously driving those prices up very, very significantly. And of course, the people who benefit from those are those people investing in lithium companies, and of course, those lithium companies themselves. Benchmark Mineral Intelligence are a company which, in my opinion, illustrate this growing gap very, very well, and of course, the growing opportunity as well for investors. As you can see by this chart we're currently looking at, the demand is that top line moving up significantly year on year on a forecasted basis, and those little spikes down below, or the bar chart, is the current supply, the probable supply, and that sort of thing. So what you're seeing is, realistically, we're not getting to a point, or we're not even close to getting to a point where supply is going to meet demand. As a result, what does that mean? Well, quite simply, the value of lithium increases due to the significant amount of demand, and of course the supply problem that the overall market is experiencing. As an investor, this is a big opportunity for you. And the reason for that is you are able to get into companies early, particularly mining companies which deal in lithium. So for instance, whether that's exploration companies, whether that's companies already producing lithium, doesn't matter if it's hard rock, doesn't matter if it's brine lithium, what you are going to see is the value of these companies skyrocket. And as I mentioned previously, Pilbara Minerals, their ticker on the ASX is PLS, has experienced such growth over the past few years. This is the Pilbara Minerals chart, and what you'll notice is there has been a significant amount of growth all the way from down here back only just 2 to 3 years ago. Back here, this was a company which was not producing. Then as soon as production started and they were able to start supporting that demand gap, what you will see is the value of this just absolutely went through the roof. In fact, they peaked, and that was on the 25th of October 2022. Their share price hit a value of $5.66 Australian, right now sitting at $4.16, but really just illustrating the value of the lithium demand currently in place and the supply shortage which is driving this. This is a company which went from a few years ago, an exploration company, a micro cap, into one of the main producers of lithium in the globe, purely because they are able to supply the demand that is there. One of the most prominent ways of seeing the demand for lithium is looking at a market which is really big at the moment and talked about, and that is the electric vehicle market. And if we're looking at electric vehicles, what you'll see is on the chart here, we have the various elements required. Lithium makes up a small percentage of that requirement, but it is still nonetheless 8.9 kilos for a battery in your typical electric vehicle. Now, why is this so important? Well, what we work out is what we're seeing is per electric vehicle, roughly there is a requirement for about $1,000 Australian worth of lithium, or maybe just a bit shy at current prices. And if we're seeing that that much lithium is needed in these sorts of vehicles, we can then take a look at the global size of the EV market from a sales perspective and really start to understand the demand that we are going to see. And this is purely for lithium in electric vehicle perspective. We are seeing massive delays on people being able to acquire these electric vehicles, quite simply because the factories producing them cannot acquire enough of the electric batteries due to supply shortages of materials such as lithium in order to produce them. This is going to be an ongoing problem, and yes, it is spread across various materials, not just lithium. But the real selling point, in my opinion, when it comes to lithium itself is the cost to extract these materials versus the sales value when you're producing the lithium carbonate and then selling that to the spot market or through a contract far outweighs every other resource when you take it from a like-for-like perspective, in my opinion. What you're seeing is massive increases in profitability due to the shortage of lithium at this point in time. And I do suspect we will see these in graphite and cobalt markets as well moving into the future. Now, the point of this video isn't to really focus on any specific stocks. Obviously, I've mentioned Pilbara Minerals because they're a fantastic example of simply the rise in the share price of a lithium miner, which is actually been producing now for a number of years. Instead, it is to make you guys as investors aware of the opportunity that is sitting in front of you. The lithium market is a market like no other at this point in time. Even now, we're seeing those massive increases in values of companies who are getting into the market, or even if they just hit a resource that is substantial or has some significant grades, you're seeing the value of those exploration companies rise in value significantly into the hundreds of millions of dollars. And when you take a look at these companies, much like Pilbara Minerals, if they're able to produce, they will go from multi-million dollar companies to multi-billion dollar companies. That is where the opportunity lies when it comes to investing in lithium stocks. And this is something that I have been focusing on now for a number of years. I personally have had some fantastic wins out of lithium stocks in the past. And of course, I believe that if you do manage to get some money together, look at various lithium stocks, you too also have a chance of making some really good wins. And for those of you who are fantastic investors out there, I know you will make some really good profits choosing those right companies to invest in at the right time, particularly in their infancy stages or just before they do start to produce lithium. So guys, that wraps up today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. I'd love to know your thoughts on the lithium market now versus in 5, maybe even 10 years time, down in the comments section below. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video as well, make sure you do leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this sort of content, hit subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. I'll leave it there for today, guys. I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you next time. Cheers.